All right. Hey, Melissa,
Hello,
my
Heather.
sweet friend. I'm so excited to go over your DNA with you. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to take up too much of your time. This will probably be 15, 20 minutes, hopefully.
Okay.
Um, Let me start out. Okay, I emailed you this blank file, right? Did you get this?
Yes.
And did you go ahead and fill out where you fall in the different categories?
Yeah, I highlighted all of the different ones.
Oh, good for you. That's going to really help us save on time here. So if you don't mind, and I got, if you'll just go down top to bottom, I'm going to fill in so I have what you have, and then we can start analyzing what you see and what I see, okay?
Okay.
All right.
So on vitamin A, I am standard requirements.
Okay.
Vitamin D, I'm slightly reduced levels. Vitamin E, I am standard requirements.
Okay.
Vitamin B6, I'm increased requirements. Folate, I am slightly increased requirements, which is the heterozygous.
Mm-hmm.
Vitamin B12 is standard requirements.
Okay.
Cholesterol is good response, sensitive to carbs.
Good response to MUFAS.
MUFAS.
Okay.
Muscle performance is the one copy, both sprint and endurance.
Okay.
Fat loss with exercise is most efficient.
Good.
Aerobic potential is high.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I've got a child in here coming to say something. Aerobic potential is high.
Uh-huh.
And risk of injury is moderate.
Okay.
And recovery is medium.
Medium.
And body weight obesity is be very cautious.
Very cautious.
Uh-huh. And risk of weight regain is be very cautious.
Okay.
Inflammation is increased risk.
Okay.
Carb sensitivity is medium.
Mm-hmm.
Fat sensitivity is high sensitivity.
It's high?
High.
Okay.
Appetite is high. Don't we know it?
I was going to joke with you too. But
Addictive tendency is normal. Praise the Lord.
Okay.
Bitter taste is the super taster of bitter.
Okay.
Lactose, I am tolerant, so I can have milk.
Okay.
Caffeine sensitivity is the highest, increased sensitivity.
Okay.
Alcohol is less likely to flush.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So now we're on the same page. So I want to start out by just making sure that you know, if you don't already, what this is actually measuring. So this DNA test is that. It's a DNA test, which sometimes people might mix up with what they think of a blood test. So specifically in this vitamin, everywhere, but you can see it the most in the vitamin section if you think about it like this. A DNA test cannot measure your level of, say, vitamin A in your blood because it's not a blood test. But what it is testing is your tendencies, your default. So in other words, if you were to show that you have an increased requirement in a certain vitamin, it's not saying you do, but it's saying if you don't eat right and don't supplement properly, you are going to be really more prone to being deficient than the average person. Or the one without that increased requirement. And really, it's the best thing to test because it never changes, and it just really helps you know what you need to be careful of so that you don't fall deficient. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't want you to see if you have an increased requirement and get all nervous because odds are you're either taking care of it or we will begin to, so it won't be a problem for you. So you just got to know, right? What you know, what you know. So, okay, let me ask you first. I'm looking at all this here. You've had longer to look at it. What pops out to you? What do you see here that interest you or you might have specific questions about? What do you see?
So, of course, the increased sensitivity to caffeine.
Okay.
And definitely the increased sensitivity to the fat.
Mm-hmm.
And the increased risk of inflammation.
So did anything surprise you?
Definitely the fat.
Uh,
and and definitely the aerobic potential being high.
okay. That's interesting. Okay, well, good. Well, then let's just dive right in with the points that I want to bring up to you and help you apply it, because at the end of the day, that's what's important, is that what you get here, it's great to have this information, but you have to be able to apply it to see the results, which is why you wanted to take the test to begin with. So you notice there's 3 sections, right? Our sections here are vitamins, exercise, and then nutrition, meaning what you eat. So that's how this is divided. I'm going to start at the top and just move right down. And what I see for you here, Melissa, is your standard in most all of them. It's really B6 and folate that I'd like to hone in with you. You know, and folate is B9. So we're talking about 2 B vitamins here. The first one, B6, again, you've got an increased requirement. So that means for you to make sure you're not deficient, you need to increase what you get on a daily basis. Your body is going to flush B6 out faster than most. So here's the deal. Here you have a body that's going to flush it out fast. If you're not eating foods and you're not supplementing it with proper amounts of B6, then you are going to be deficient, right? Where someone else who might just have a tiny little bit, their body holds on to that longer so it can get used. So you just need to make sure that every single day you're getting your B6 in your foods. Now, I believe on the sheet, if you turn to that page, we're going to see the foods. Let's go there. Page 31. You're going to actually see the list of foods. And this isn't all of them, but the top foods for B6. We've got tuna, salmon, turkey, beef, chicken, garbanzo beans, brown rice, spinach, banana, avocado, sunflower seeds, and pistachios. Do you eat any of those now?
I love some tuna and I love some salmon and turkey. So the first 3 are like my love.
Good. And let me ask you this. Have you been taking your ID nutrition?
Yes, I have.
Yes. Okay. And have you already put your DNA results into your ID nutrition?
Yes, I have.
Okay, cool. So your ID nutrition knows that you have an increased requirement of B6, so you are good to go. So there should be no issues there. The next one is folate, okay? And B6 and B9 tend to travel together, so it's very common to see if you're deficient or prone to be deficient in one that you may be in the other. Well, this B9, the folate, I put here MTHFR 677 because that is what that is testing. And on your sheet, you were able to tell me that you have slightly increased. You will notice that there's three different, let me fix that light, 3 different levels, okay? So if your speedometer had been here, then it would have mean you had 0 MTHFR mutation. And I'm going to explain what that is in just a second. Over here is 0. Here's mine. That's the double, the homozygous. You're here. You're heterozygous. So you're halfway from no mutation to over here where I am. And let me explain to you what that means. So yes, you do have the MTHFR mutation. You have the weaker of the 2 scenarios. So what that means, I know MTHFR can sound kind of crazy, like what in the world is that? Especially when it's followed by the word mutation. But basically that's what it felt like to me. Believe me, I was like, what? But it's very simple. MTHFR is the abbreviation, or it's the letters of a very long word that is an enzyme. It's methyl something folate reductase. So these genes tell the cell that's responsible for that enzyme to make the enzyme. Now, because you do have the heterozygous mutation, your cell that's responsible for that enzyme is going to make less than had you not had any of the mutation.
Mm-hmm.
I am one step further than that. Okay. So you're in the middle. So it's like a medium mutation, so to speak. And there's really two immediate things to be cognizant of when it comes to this mutation. Number one is we need our folate, right? And
Right.
then let's talk about how we've been getting our folate. So we definitely need our folate, but let's go over here. Odds are you have been getting or taking or eating foods that have been fortified with folic acid, because that's normal for those that don't have the mutation. So folic acid is the synthetic copy of folate. Folate is what's naturally found in foods. It's what our body wants. And for those that don't have this mutation, it is no problem to take folic acid and methylate it to folate. That's how it's supposed to work. Unfortunately, it's estimated over 50% of the population have what we have. And what that means for us is we cannot take that folic acid and turn it into folate. We don't methylate enough. We don't have enough of that enzyme. So not only are we not turning things into folate that we need to do, but also that folic acid that you're taking is going to be building up in your system like a toxin. And where that leads, as far as, bad news on the health and in the future health, the list is so long. I'm sure it's dependent on some other factors, but we do not want that. So we need to stop all things with folic acid. So you're on ID nutrition, so you're squared away. But if you weren't, I would say, let's go look at your multivitamin. Let's go look at everything you're taking. And if it specifically has folic acid, that's been added, assuming that you're able to turn it into folate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
It also shows up a lot in foods, especially the processed foods. So cereals, breads. I know Cinnamon Life has it because I had to get rid of that in our house. So go through your kitchen, get rid of the foods that have been fortified with folic acid. And it's really not that big of a deal. There are most of the healthy breads and the healthy items that we should be eating anyway haven't been fortified with it. So you want to get it out of your diet. And then we have to how do we get our folate? And again, like we saw with the B6 for the folate, this is your personal guidance here. Make sure that you read over that. So this top part is kind of the general information. This is where you registered in your gene testing. And then here's another table with foods, the top foods high in folate. And I go right to lentils. I don't really love pinto beans, but lentils, pinto beans, some people do. Garbanzo beans, asparagus, spinach, black beans, avocados, turnip greens, broccoli, and beets. So if you're eating healthy, like I know you do, right, then you should be good.
I love some beets. I love some beets, and I love some broccoli. So there you go.
And so something else to consider is, since you have that heterozygous mutation, there's a good chance that your daughter has that Cece will have either. She might not, but you might want to look at that. And since we all need folate, it's okay to eliminate folic acid out of your kitchen and make sure she gets folate, because that's what she needs anyway,
Checking the bread.
So do you have any questions about that specifically?
Well, I just love how it gives on this sheet the daily intake of folate and the age levels. And I love, for males, for females, the fact that women need it more than men. That's interesting. And then obviously, understandably, pregnant women, need it.
And there's so much more. I mean, I'm staying real simple into what's here, but that's definitely a concern with infertility and miscarriages, preeclampsia. I did have preeclampsia. I had no idea, but that is that's a side effect. That's a function. What am I trying to say? That's due to having that homozygous mutation that I had. So there's a lot to do with the female hormones and folate, which makes sense that females would need it even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this really is kind of the beginning. You can obviously do more research on your own. But I think that's good.
Yeah.
You feel good about that?
That's outstanding.
Okay. So that's it for your vitamin section. So again, and you're taking your ID nutrition, so you're going to be good to go. So now let's go to the exercise category, which when I think of you, that's what I think about. So I think about. So I see here, let's go to the muscle performance. Now I was wrong. I thought you were 100% sprinter.
Right.
I keep doing that. I think I've done that to you a few times, and I probably will again. But so you are showing up What's that?
I said, because you know I set records.
Because you are a sprinter. You are a sprinter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just keep thinking that's where you showed up. So that means, so on your report, your line was in the middle. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the way this works, you're either going to have 0 copies of the fast twitch protein. Again, a genetic code tells the cell to make the protein, right? So your genetic code said, we're going to give Melissa 1 of those copies, okay?
Right.
Mine over here, I got 0, and had you gotten 2, you'd have been over here. So 2 means sprinting. So 2 copies of that fast twitch muscle you will find in Olympic level sprinters, no doubt.
Right.
For people that just love that like full strength, explosive activity, high intensity, that's what comes easy to them because they're over here. For you, you're right in the middle. So more than likely, throughout the course of your life, you've found both. Would you say that to be true? Both endurance and explosive activities? Is that kind of where your happy place is?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I have noticed with certain exercises, I'm getting a little bit more results.
Okay. So the real lesson there for you is to make sure, so you're pretty lucky. I mean, it's a good place to be that your body likes both, because the truth is you need both. So the lesson for you in this is don't ignore one or the other. You know, you may go through those periods of life where you're just like, okay, I am just going to do body pump, or I'm just going to lift weights, or I need to, and then you no longer get on the treadmill, or no longer get on the bike, or no longer swim, right? So you want to make sure that you're keeping a balance, doing both endurance and high intensity exercises when you do it. And the same goes for me. Since I'm over here full endurance, my lesson is I need to make sure that I'm doing the other things, the explosive activities, so that I can get results. Because if I just hang out over here in the endurance world, I'm not going to.
Right.
Right? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
It fits with your life?
Mm-hmm.
There is a place in here that is going to tell us where you store your fat. Did you see that? I don't think it's on this one, but it's on one of these in the exercise. Did you tell me you store your fat inside your muscle?
Yes, in my muscle. Mm-hmm.
And do you remember what you read about that?
Oh, goodness.
Well, I believe it's good news. I believe you're going to be able to tone up better.
I'm the most like fit. So in other words, when I exercise, I have the highest potential to really see the definition and the tone.
Right. As opposed to me, who stores it directly under my skin. I mean, I'm like turning up short on all of these. Stores it directly under my skin, which is harder to get to. You know, I can go in and work my muscles out really, really hard, but I might not be getting the fat where yours, since your fat's more inside your muscle, you're able to affect that fat better. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so moving on, fat loss with exercise. Did you know that you are a genetic lottery winner in this category? Yeah. So, and this might be a good time to point out, if you go to the back of your report, and I could have told you this earlier, there is a page that's actually breaking down. You know, my dad, he's a microbiology PhD guy, and he's like, so how do we know what genes we're testing? And I was like, right here. Here they all are. And he was so excited because this is what he really wanted to know. Right. So when you look back here, this is all of them that are tested, what the normal would be, and then what your result is. So let's see, for fat loss with exercise, where are we at? Exercise. You are, do you have GG, right?
I am.
I need to see what gene it said they tested to know which one we're looking at. Muscle performance, gene, ACTN3. There you go, ACTN3. Do you show GG there? It's the third from the bottom.
Oh, good. Thank you. I am TC.
To the, okay. For ACTN3?
For ACT.
Oh, I told you wrong. I'm sorry. I'm being crazy. It's INSIG2, INSIG2, which is the third one down in exercise.
GG, yes. So the highest. Yeah.
Good. You had me nervous there. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So what that's telling us is GG means, so you're over on the green, right? Once again, look at me over here. you won the genetic lottery. So here's you. You're the type of person that should be able to go, all right, I've got to drop some weight. I'm getting serious about exercise, and boom, you're in control and you can drop fat. This is specifically fat loss with exercise. You might be that person that I go to the gym with and I am just busting it as hard as you, and you're just falling right off of you while I'm over here like sweating and right. So
like, that was my story of like running all the time and being slim and trim, and then my back goes.
So you want to exercise anymore, and that's where you put on your weight, right? Yeah. Okay, so good. So that is applicable. So for me, it's over on the other side, which means I can exercise like crazy, and I need to. It helps my brain and cardiovascular and all that. But to lose fat, it's more going to be for me how I eat. Yeah. So that's the thing. So you still need to watch how you eat, of course. Yeah. But you're lucky there. You've got the genetic lottery won when it comes to how to drop fat when you want to with exercise. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, let's see what else. Risk of injury is moderate. You just be really careful. It's specifically Achilles tendinopathy, which is linked to inflammation, which we're going to get to in a minute. Change your shoes out. If you have running shoes or shoes that you like to exercise in, just don't let them get old, right? Swap them for yard shoes and get you some good new ones with some nice support. Also be careful about running. I think you're really careful with this, but don't run downhill on pavement all the time. Just all of that, just banging over the years. You're at a medium risk to injure your Achilles. Right. And I mean, the rest is pretty much spot on. Yeah. So then your cholesterol, we can reference that again when we go down to the food. Okay. So any questions on the exercise section?
We're great.
We're good? Mm-hmm. All right. So now for the part that I believe all of this is applicable, but of course eating is big, right? It's what we really want to know, because if we have that ability to stay within what works with our genetics and we're good with that, I mean, that's a win-win, right? Inflammation, you and I both share that. It's something that I'm seeing with almost every person. So inflammation is chronic. It's an everyday issue. So we just got to make sure that you're getting enough of your omegas, basically. Your omega-3s specifically. Yes. Your salmon. Do you like salmon?
Oh, I love salmon.
You love salmon? So what is it? Salmon, avocados, chia seeds, flax seeds, all of that good stuff. Yeah. So I believe there's even in the report an amount to target. So you want to just stay aware of that. Yeah. And that should keep you. So again, it's not saying you have high inflammation. It's saying you could go there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Which we have in the past.
DNA is saying that beware.
Yes.
You're genetically set up for that.
Yeah. Okay, then let's skip down to super taster of bitter. Now, are you someone who finds Brussels sprouts and broccoli and kale and those type of foods, they call them the brassica plants, the cruciferous vegetables, do you find those bitter or yucky?
So I hated them my entire life until like just in the last year.
Really?
So. Yeah, like hated them.
Is bitter the right word for it for you?
Probably. I mean, it's just like, it just always tasted gross. Like, or I was scared.
So did you ever find yourself maybe like drowning those Brussels sprouts in maple syrup and bacon just to get them down?
Bacon.
Yeah. So there's a lot of recipes out there that now I go, oh, well, that makes sense, because those that have this bitter gene want to get those veggies down, right? They hear just the same as all of us do, but then we're going and, they're doctoring them up with all these things that aren't good. So I'm so happy to hear that in the last year that you love them. Had that not been the case, I would say, let's help find you some herbs that you like. Maybe you love cayenne, maybe a little bit of Celtic sea salt and lemon and I don't know, basil, fresh, we need to find a way to help you enjoy them without loading them down with all the things that totally negate the good that you're trying to get out of them. But you're doing good.
Yeah, I just probably need to improve kale. Kale is the one that I'm not like real crazy about, but the others are better, you know.
I get that. I don't have a problem with kale, but I don't love to just eat a salad of just kale. Like, you know, so I've been getting those power greens that has a mixture of kale, spinach, and arugula. And I kind of dig that.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I learned from Tanya Parr the other night that we are not supposed to take a handful of kale and put it in your smoothie. Did you know that? She went to the doctor, a naturopathic doctor, and she was having some stomach pains. And when she told her doctor that that was why, her doctor let her know that the thing with kale is it takes a certain enzyme in our stomach to break it down, right? Because it's so tough. Yeah. So if you're blending it and drinking it, that in a smoothie, that enzyme's not activated. Isn't that cool? So I thought I'd throw that in there right now because I was like, that is something good to know. Spinach is okay. Yeah. But kale specifically is too tough. If you're going to get it in your tummy, you want to let your enzymes naturally break it down.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that cool? I was like, yeah, definitely we need to tell everybody about that.
Yes.
All right. So that takes care of super taster of bitter. You're lactose tolerant, but you know dairy is highly inflammatory.
Yep.
So really, I'm almost happy if I see intolerant sometimes. I'm like, that's good because really the less dairy, the better. I recommend leaving your dairy over in that like fun category. It's when you're splurging, you have the cheese or whatever, but not on your daily thing. Don't put cheese on that lunch sandwich just cause you don't need to.
Right.
And there's more calcium in greens anyway. Okay, caffeine sensitivity. You pointed that out as one that you noticed. What do you see there?
Yep. So I have had where I've had a lot of caffeine, and then I would notice like for several days, I was just feeling like just more exhausted than ever. That's the way to describe it, is like when I would have a lot of caffeine thinking that, oh, wow, that's going to give me the best boost for my day. But if I did that several days in a row, I felt horrible, like horrible. That's the best way to describe
it. Like a mombi.
Like a,
like a zombie mombi. Yeah. Right, because it's not processing out of your body fast enough. That's what's going on here. So for you, you're getting caffeine in, and maybe it's helping you during the day, but it's not gone by the time you go to sleep.
Right.
For those of us that have the low sensitivity, it's just the opposite. It goes out so fast. It's not a big deal, but we're at risk of someone like me with low sensitivity of doing too much. Mm-hmm. So what is it? I believe, is it less? It told you the milligrams to stay under, but you probably self-regulate, right? Because you can't do much anyway. You feel it.
Yeah, I mean, so it says, to stick under 250, and I probably am like 150, really, 150 to 220 at the most, and then I'm good to go.
You're good. So no shock there, but isn't it kind of good to get that confirmation of what you already knew? Right? I think it's so cool.
You don't even know.
Yeah, you don't think you're crazy anymore. You're like, well, that's why it's like that, because it's genetic. Okay. Alcohol, less likely to flush. I know you, and I know that's not an issue for you. What that's measuring though is, some people after having a little bit to drink, their body, they just feel great. I mean, I do have it in the face, so I think that's where you notice it. But for those who don't have the likelihood of flush, it's just being aware of that your body's not going to tell you that it's time to not have another drink, that we have to self-regulate that. And I know, like I said, I know you're good there. I know for a lot of these too, the product recommendation is hydrate, because especially when it comes to appetite, many times, where is your appetite? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, that's where we're headed anyway.
Next transition.
Yeah. So many times the high appetite, or our body misinterprets being dehydrated. It can come out looking like a headache. We can think we're sick. It can most of the time make us feel like we're hungry or just off. And it's something simple but by the time you feel dehydrated, a glass of water is not enough to do the trick. So make sure you're getting at least a hydrate a day to help you with that high appetite. You have hydrate in there? You got water. You good. You good. The hydrate you could have. Hydrate is basically powdered coconut water, which is like God's mineral water. Like it's got the perfect blend of electrolytes and minerals, straight what we need. So I love that our hydrate is powdered coconut water with some added other antioxidants and stuff. All right, so we're back. We're down to the last two, the big ones.
That's
Fat and carb sensitivity. So let's start with fat first. You said that one stood out to you as well. What did you see when you read over your report for that?
So just the fact that I had to be careful and be aware of the types of fats that I'm choosing to eat in my diet, and that I need to be more strict than the normal person. And
You're right. True. Yes.
I'm so thankful that it gives me the list. You know, it for no matter how, I mean, thankfully I'm in the medical field, but you know, for other people that aren't, I mean, just understanding more about saturated fats and like the way that they spell out just, I mean, this great chart that's on page 17 is so wonderful to just go through and really
There it
educate
is.
all of us
Yes.
on, you know, what to really, and I love how it said the strongest genetic correlations, you know, it has these little hourglass parts, the blue little parts.
Right.
That's pretty cool too, to really focus our attention on.
Totally. So you see your little pie chart. Where's
Right.
it?
On
Right?
page 16. Page 16.
So that's what you want to pay attention to. Pretend that's your plate. So this is total daily intake. But if I say to myself, an easy way, because I'm always trying to think of how to stay on track all day long, even if life gets crazy, if even in my Tupperware for my snack or even in my lunch, if I can look at what I'm eating and say, okay, only 10% or less can be saturated fats. Now I'm gonna challenge you to just make those 0, because you can. You can totally live without vegetable oil, without you know, some of the yucky stuff.
About some avocado oil.
Yes, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's probably a PUFA, right? I bet. Anyway, so you want to just keep your saturated very low. So I have a low sensitivity, so I would imagine and I believe that the amount that I'm allowed per day is going to be a little more than you. That's the thing, is you're going to be more restricted because your sensitivity is higher. Right. Notice that you do want some MUFAs and some PUFAs. So think of your MUFAs are your are really your food items. That's how I try to remember it, is your MUFAs are your olive oil, avocado, almonds, macadamia nuts. The PUFAs are where the omegas come in. So that's also going to be avocados, but it's going to be your chia, your flax, your salmon, your cold water fatty fish. So PUFAs are your omega-3 and 6. And MUFAs are your foods that you like cook with, your olive oil and stuff. And I pretty much now I do everything in olive oil.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't even realize, it was from a result of getting my test that I realized that the butter that I was using, you know, because Allie and Luke are allergic to milk, it had canola oil as the base. And I was like, what do you know? You know, so I just got rid of it. So do you feel pretty good with that? Sounds like you got a good handle on that.
Yeah. But
and of
definitely
course,
like soybean oil, soybean is got to get out of my.
It's highly inflammatory.
Yeah, like I've got to get that out, and it's been, you know, it's a learning process, and it's.
I mean, the oil. So something about the way the oil is processed, because the edamame, the soybean, isn't the same inflammatory response as sunflower or soybean oil, which, you know, that's all vegetable oil is. If you're just buying vegetable oil, it's soybean oil. And soybeans, and get this, and beets are the 2 biggest crops in America that are GMO treated, GMO, genetically altered. So unless you are specifically making sure you're getting USDA organic, GMO-free soy or beets, they are like 99.9% certain that they're going to be GMO. So that's another reason to stay away from soybean oil. Isn't that sad?
The beets, I have to be careful.
Beets, yes. In fact, they're worse. They're higher up there than soybeans. You need to get organic beets.
Okay, well, I've been going to a place downtown, so we're gonna pray that they're organic.
Oh, is it Loretta?
The salad place. I can't think of what it's called.
Southern salad.
Southern salad. We're gonna pray they're organic.
We are gonna pray they're organic. You know, I mean, they're not on, you know, there's that Dirty Dozen, and I know I'm digressing now, but that Dirty Dozen are the top 12 that if you have to get organic, You need to get those. Now, what you'll see about those are ones that are above ground and you're eating the skin. So strawberry is going to be on the Dirty Dozen. Now it's talking about organic. So that's talking about chemicals being sprayed, right? So a strawberry grows above ground. If it gets sprayed, the chemical makes it on the strawberry and sucks, the strawberry, it'll absorb into the fruit. So a beet is below ground, so it's not as high a risk of the chemicals. It'll have some if it's sprayed because it'll go down, but it's not getting on it. But I'm talking about GMOs.
Yeah, genetically
modified. Yeah, a whole different thing. So, okay. So the good, girl, we got one left here. Sensitivity to carbohydrates. Now, I know you know this, but I'm going to go ahead and say we're not talking about those carbs that we wish we were talking about. Wait, what's your sensitivity? Medium? Okay. We're not talking about the garlic bread at Olive Garden,
That's right.
Or the thick crust pizza. We are saying how sensitive your body's going to be to blood sugar fluctuations from those. Well, let's just call those bad because they're highly refined. We're going to call them bad carbs just to keep it simple. So in the event that you're getting too much of those, your blood sugar is going to spike, right? How detrimental are those to you, and how serious do you need to be to make sure you don't allow that to happen? Because if it's seriously detrimental, that's the beginning of weight gain that you kind of can't, have a really hard time reversing unless you change that habit. And type 2 diabetes is a result of going down that road, and we don't want to go down that road. Right. So we want to keep those bad carbs really, really low. One really great thing to do, though, is keep your good carbs high. Now, good carbs, so once again, look at your little pie chart here. Mm-hmm. This is me. I have low sensitivity. Mm-hmm. But okay, tell me what you've got on yours. We're talking about you, not me.
Right, yeah. So mine says that my daily is the 45 to 65 for carbs.
Okay.
And it says limit added sugar to no more than 25 grams.
Okay.
100 calories a day for added sugar.
Okay. And what is the little slice on the pie chart that says refined carbs? What does it say?
It says up to 9%.
Okay. So you want to keep, when you're looking at your dish, right, make sure that your refined carbs are less than 10%. You want to make sure that your good carbs, which the best ones are your non-starchy vegetables, they take up at least half the plate. So 45 to 65, think of it just going a little more. Think of that. You got a plate, you want a big old honking mound of broccoli, right? A tiny little bit of white rice if you have it on there, and the rest is your protein, right? So this idea of having a giant bowl of rice with a little bit of broccoli and chicken on top and thinking we're healthy is not, because we've just gotten a huge glycemic load, which is where I'm going next, by getting way too many servings of that rice or whatever, pasta or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're talking about this because I've already prepped for tomorrow. So I've got tuna salad for my lunch.
Yeah.
And I've got grapes and blueberries, but I really do need a little bit more
veggies.
The amount
veggies
for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. So
good carbs.
What? Well, your lettuce and your salad is your good carb.
Yeah, but I just am doing tuna salad, like just the tuna, with the mayonnaise and stuff.
Yeah, stop and get you a thing of spinach or something.
Yeah, okay.
Celery. You maybe do celery. Yeah. Okay, so this changed, right? This is affected by where you land on your scale, but the other thing that's changing is this box right here. So glycemic load. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes, so I've heard it, and it has it on the page 15.
Okay, good. So it's a better indicator of how we're doing. So let's say if I set out and said, Melissa, make sure that all of your foods have a glycemic index of 55 or below, right? Let's just say that was the guide. And let's say that a banana fell in at 55, and you're like, okay, great. And then you go eat 10 of them, right? Not smart, right? No. What about 3 of them? Well, if they're low glycemic, where does that cut off? So there's obviously another equation that needs to have more information in it for us to figure out if what we're doing is right or not. And that answer, that full equation with the whole story, is in a term called glycemic load. Glycemic load takes into account the glycemic index of the item, but also the serving size. Right? So each of those bananas would still have only 55 glycemic index, but that glycemic load might be like 300. which might be more than you need for a whole day. So I like to say for women, our stature, probably go in around a 1,600 calorie diet. See what this is telling you is how many calories, I'm not a calorie counter, but that's probably about where I'm falling every day. At a 1,600 calorie diet, my glycemic load is 125. What's yours?
Mine's 120.
Your target? Okay, so because your sensitivity is a little higher than mine, I'm allowed 5 more on that scale than you are. Okay, so the higher your sensitivity, the lower your target's going to be. Now, what is this target? There is a wonderful example that I'm not going to take the time to go through now, but make sure you look at it. It's on the second page of carbohydrates about the pancakes.
This is such a good one.
About the pancakes. Did you read that one?
Yes, but I used to be a pancake-aholic.
So much sense. Okay, so it's talking about this breakfast here has 2 pancakes, and I guess I will talk about it, 2 pancakes and syrup.
Right.
That breakfast has a glycemic load of 116. So you said yours is what, 120?
So mine is
the whole day?
Yeah, so I'd be done.
You'd be done. You got to eat zucchini and water for the rest of the day. This breakfast here has oatmeal, blueberries, yogurt, 2 eggs, a slice of toast, and the glycemic load is 33. You're at that 25% of your day for all of that food versus you just used it all up there. So imagine if that was your breakfast, and then you went to McDonald's for lunch, and then you had pizza for dinner, and you weren't supplementing. You see how fast that.
Well, and to help teach me as far as with when you're going to do a splurge, even being smart in your splurges. So oh my goodness, there's definitely been times where I was at Cracker Barrel and allow myself to have one of their blueberry pancakes. But oh my gosh, it's just, definitely to enjoy your splurges, but also still be wise. I don't know.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know. So finally, in the back of the book, because it's a big old table, there is a glycemic load table. It's about, 4 or 5 pages, glycemic load chart. And I heard it on a training that when you'll see angel food cake is the first item on here. And I believe it was Mark Bennett said, we're not saying eat angel food cake. We're just going to tell you what the glycemic load is because sometimes it does get eaten. So here you've got serving size of items, categories, beans, bakery items, beverages, and the glycemic load. So what I would love for you to do, Melissa, and we'll follow up with this at another time. I learned a lot when I did this for myself, is whether it's tomorrow, maybe take tomorrow. I don't know if you're traveling, but the next day that you have, that's pretty average for how you eat. Just maybe in the notes of your phone, just jot down everything you eat. Because then I would love for you to sit down or us to sit down together and go, okay, that was a Thursday and it was a normal day. And guess what? My glycemic load for the day is at 100. And that's kind of how I eat, right? What if it's only 50? Then we're going to say, okay, you're not getting enough. You need more energy. You're going to need more of those good carbs. Let's throw in some oats or let's throw in something that your body needs. If you find out you're at 300 or 400, then we're going to say, Melissa, stop with those pancakes every morning. And it's interesting that pancake syrup has 2 ounces, okay? And who uses 2 ounces of syrup? Can I just tell you? 2 ounces is 2 ounces has 38 on the glycemic load. So that just puts that in perspective. But girl, I think you're good. So we hit inflammation, carb and fat. In the food section, we hit pretty much everything.
And I love how we can tell other friends of ours, that might work in the healthcare field, that Red Bull has a glycemic load of 21.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And glycemic index is 75.
Whoa.
Because they go, oh, it's only 115 calories.
Yeah.
It's
not the whole story. We can't outsmart our bodies, can we?
Mm-mm.
So thank you so much, Melissa, for walking through this. And is there anything else on here that you feel like we should hit before we wrap it up?
Yeah, this is excellent. So educational.
So please, please, please make sure to pay attention on the move page. You know that you can always search. So let's say you're like, I need some lentils, right? You're like, I'm going to make sure that I address the folate issue. So go all, you can go on the internet, but really, all the recipes that come through on the Move page have been put there by, people like us that are trying our best to live this healthy lifestyle, the simple, natural way, not all crazy with gimmicks. So just go in there and, and you can, in the search bar, you can do lentils or garbanzo beans, and all those recipes will come up. You can also ask questions in there, and, one giant community that's all here to help each other. But you're good. You got that owner's manual for your body now, girlfriend. No excuses.
All right.
All right. Love you, girl. Have a good night.
Okay. You too.
Bye.
Bye.